Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wabarakatuhu. My name is Julde, and today for my video I'm going to talk about how to be a Muslim living within a non-Muslim society. So 2 weeks ago somebody messaged me and they said, Julde, I really want one of your motivational speeches, and one of the things that I want you to speak about is how you could be a Muslim living within a non-Muslim society. So first things first, for those who do not know me, my major is business administration. I'm studying at a city university of New York. And for my major, I concentrate in marketing, and my minor is health service administration. So now to get to my video and to the topic, one of the things is I live in a democracy. So I currently live in the United States of America, which is a democratic government, and you basically have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and etc. So you basically have freedoms to do anything that is prohibited in Islam. So in Islam, anything that's prohibited is called haram. So if you do something that's forbidden in Islam, sometimes somebody that's Muslim will tell you, oh, brother or sister, that is haram. Like whatever you just did is haram. Okay, so some of the stuff that Muslims are not supposed to be doing. Men and women that are Muslim are not supposed to shake the hands of the opposite sex. So for me, when I meet a man for a job or something like that, I'm not supposed to shake his hand. But obviously for cultural reasons, because I know that I live in that dominant society, I would shake his hand. Let's just say it's an interview and I know that my job depends on it. I'm not gonna be like petty and be like, oh, because of my religion I'm not gonna shake his hand, because he doesn't, the man that's interviewing me doesn't understand that Muslim women are not supposed to shake the opposite sex hand. Another thing about being Muslim in a non-Muslim society is we're not allowed to drink alcohol. And some of the things that like in the United States, if you're really cool with somebody, they will want to drink alcohol. And turning 21 didn't even really matter to me, because when I turned 21, which people call the turn up, like, ooh, yay, I'm 21, blah, blah, it didn't matter because I didn't even use my ID for that. Another thing that about being Muslim is you're not allowed to eat pork. So when you go to a gathering where people are eating foods and stuff like that, you're always hesitant to grab a item, and then people are wondering, like, why are you asking about every selection of food in here? Like, I'm asking, what type of meat is in the lasagna? What type of ribs are those? Is that cow ribs? Is that pork ribs? And stuff like that. You're not allowed to have premarital sex. So that boyfriend girlfriend stuff, I wasn't really too into it. I've been with my husband since we were like teenagers and stuff like that. So we've just been together, and it's sometimes hard because in a non-Muslim society, sometimes like sex is hyper, I don't know, it's just really hyped up. Like it's all about, it's in the music, they talk about it in advertisement where it's like sex sells type thing and all of that. Muslims are not allowed to listen to music. So secular music is prohibited for multiple reasons, and I could talk about that specifically in a different video. I could have like a video about why musics are prohibited. But some of the instruments that you blow into, the string instruments and all of that, they actually have hadiths explaining why that stuff is prohibited. And music can actually it can make you feel inclined to do bad stuff. Like if you are listening to music that's talking about gang banging and stealing and selling drugs and all of this other stuff, sometimes you feel hyped up with the mood. It kind of lifts your energy into the mood of the music. Some of the other things, we're not allowed to get tattoos. So I'm going to tell you my age, even though I look 18. I am 24 years old, and I don't have a single tattoo on my body. So that is like forbidden. Like, Muslims are not allowed to get tattoos. And what else are we not allowed to do? And we follow a certain guideline. So, as Muslims, we're supposed to pray 5 times a day, which is like required. And they say that you're not a Muslim if you don't pray 5 times a day, and that could be very hard being in a non-Muslim society because there's so many distractions. And if you're in a non-Muslim society like I am in the United States, where, you know, your life is really, really busy because you're going to school, you're going to work, and all this other stuff. I'm not saying that there's excuses for it, but sometimes non-Muslims can have like low faith, and it could just so happen to be you don't make your 5 daily prayers, you know? So now, what does that mean for a Muslim who's living in a non-Muslim society? You have to fight your temptations. So you know that everything is readily available. You know that if you want, tomorrow you could go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of liquor, and nobody ain't gonna stop you because you over the age requirement. I don't know about the countries where you're from and stuff like that, but in the United States, 21, I'm not gonna say that your religion could stop you. It's you yourself that's gonna stop yourself from getting that. It's you yourself that's gonna stop yourself from having premarital sex. It's you yourself that's gonna stop yourself from eating pork. I mean, I met a Muslim sister, one time eating pork, like, and she was regular about it. I was like, sister, like, you're eating pork. And she even offered it to me. She was like, oh, Julia, you want some? I said, sister, isn't that pork? She said, yeah. And she laughed about it, like, and she was just eating it like it was regular. And it's like, because nobody is here to stop you from doing whatever you want. Like, if you don't wanna follow the rules of like Islam, you don't have to. But that is based on your belief of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last messenger. If you fully believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, then you're not gonna want to listen to music. Sometimes it's gonna be very hard for you. You're gonna listen to music because it's really hard. Like, you're fighting the shaitan, and you're fighting the temptations that is, I'm not gonna say being whispered because it's not literal, but it's like a metaphorical, like, that whatever you feel like doing that's bad is whispered, but it's not really. But like, you're feeling those temptations because all around you, you're seeing people in haram relationships. You're seeing people in listening to music. You're seeing people eat pork, and it's always like people that's not supposed to eat pork, and they say, oh, we know that this is not supposed to be, but what's really wrong with it? And it's like, astaghfirullah. Like, I mean, I don't know that many people that do think, but there is, I mean, people's gonna admit that there is some Muslims that eat pork. There is some Muslims that celebrate holidays that don't belong to our holidays. Like, for example, Christmas. Like, Muslims are not supposed to celebrate Christmas and stuff like that. But just know that you have one goal in mind, and that goal is that you want to make it to Al-Jannah, inshallah. But this is the thing that you have to remember. You're never gonna be perfect. You're never gonna be all the way perfect with Islam. That's why we call Allah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And 113 surahs out of the 114 surahs in the Quran, it says Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, because He is the most gracious and He's the most merciful. He forgives, but that doesn't give you the reason to purposely do haram stuff and it'd be like, oh, you know, Allah forgive me every time. Like, you have to sincerely be asking for that forgiveness, that I really want you to forgive me for that sin because I'm really trying to change. I'm really not trying to go back to that habit. You understand? Some people, they say, oh, you know, I don't feel like I'm reaching my highest iman with Islam. You're never supposed to feel like you're reaching your highest iman, because some people feel like, oh, I've been praying 5 times a day for like maybe 2 years, so maybe let me relax, because maybe those 5 daily prayers that I've been praying for 2 years, maybe that can like substitute for the days that I'm relaxing. No, there's no vacation in Islam. There's no such thing as fasting so much where now when Ramadan comes, oh, I don't have to fast because like astaghfirullah. No. And I've even heard of Muslims say that they had people fast for them. Like, they're saying that they don't have to pray, I mean, not pray, suffer. They don't have to fast Ramadan because their grandma or their aunt or uncle is fasting for them for the month of Ramadan. And no, it's you. You're accountable for yourself. You're accountable for yourself to make sure that you are on track with Islam, that you aren't letting other distractions bother you. Like, if you have like minor stuff that distracts you from Islam, like let's just say instead of reading the Quran, you're playing video games, or instead of praying, you're, you know, so obsessed with working or whatever. Like, you have to find a way to implement Islam into it. Like, for example, when it comes to working, you have a break, you have a lunch. Like, try to discuss this with your boss and let them know, like, you know, my religion is Islam and it requires me to pray 5 times a day, but I know that you don't want me to stop working that many times to pray, but can you give me a little time where I can pray? Don't try to abuse the favor that your boss gives you by praying for like 30 minutes straight, but nah, like, can you give me like 2 minutes so I could do my prayer and then get back to working? Or can you give me at least 1 Friday or 2 Fridays of the month so that I could go to Juma and I could listen to the khutbah? Because I know some Muslims, they were able to talk to their managers and get that Friday off, because especially it's mandatory for men to go to Juma. It's not really mandatory for women, but it's mandatory for men. So you have to find ways that you can kind of I'm not gonna say fully kind of assimilate with your dominant society, which is the non-Muslim society, because you're just a minority as a Muslim. You have to find a way to assimilate into that, but where you're not neglecting your requirements of being a Muslim. So actually, for my next video, I want to talk about the 5 pillars of Islam, because that's very important as to being a Muslim. So for right now, I hope that whatever I discussed in this video is beneficial. If it's not, you can always message me, and whatever extra questions you have, I will definitely try to address it in another video. So I know that it took me a while to post this video because it was like 2 weeks ago, and it's been like on my mind. I've been thinking like, oh my goodness, like this brother asked me to post a video, but I didn't. But anyway, so assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much.